Three children dropped dead at the exact same moment, not from poison, not from disease, from sunlight touching a box that should have never seen the day. The box belonged to their mother, and inside it was the reason why hundreds of people couldn't start their day without eating her noodles. This is the story of Mama Blessing, a woman who made a deal she could never break, a secret she could never tell, and a price that was always going to be paid. They called it Mama Blessing's Tasty Noodles. From as early as 6 a.m., even before the town of Benin City properly stirred to life, a queue would already have formed in front of a small food kiosk tucked beside the old market square. The queue wrapped around wooden stalls, crates of vegetables, an impatient motorcyclist waiting to grab a quick breakfast before the day's hustle. People weren't queuing for jollof rice or fried plantain. It wasn't for rice or beans. It was for noodles. Steaming hot, peppery, and seasoned with a special sauce that made mouths water from meters away. But not just any noodles. It was the noodles from Mama Blessing's kiosk. For the past 7 years, Mama Blessing's kiosk had become a breakfast destination, and noodles were a mystery of their own. Cooked fast, always tasty, and strangely addictive. Even those who once swore off noodles became hooked after one visit. If I don't eat Mama Blessing's noodles in the morning, my body won't rest. Mr. Jibril, the security guard from the big bank nearby, said loudly. He rubbed his stomach and shook his head. It's like medicine to me. A young university girl, her books pressed tightly to her chest, laughed softly. Even me, she said, her voice dreamy. I used to eat bread and tea every morning, but since the day I tasted her food, nothing else satisfies me. Restaurants and fast food joints tried to imitate her recipe, but none came close. Children dragged their parents to the kiosk before school. Taxi drivers planned their routes around her location. It was a phenomenon that baffled many but benefited all, until the government decided to modernize the markets. On a Tuesday morning, government officials arrived with their yellow helmets, marked papers, and loudspeakers. Attention, attention! All unauthorized stalls along the market will be demolished today. Heads turned. People froze. The voice grew louder, closer. Traders should pack their goods now. Move them immediately. This is the final warning. Through the crowd came a group of men in yellow helmets. Some carried long measuring tapes and wooden poles. Others had clipboards with marked papers. Behind them rumbled a bulldozer, its iron mouth wide and ready to bite. Fear spread like wildfire. Women grabbed their baskets. Men dragged tables away. Children cried as their mothers yanked them by the arms. Ah, my stall. Where will I go now? One woman wailed. Please don't scatter my things. I beg you, a man shouted, running to save his pile of plantains. Some traders argued with the officials. Some begged on their knees. But the men in yellow helmets didn't stop. Move back, one official barked. We are following government orders. Clear the space now. The noise grew louder. The whole market was like a storm, full of fear, anger, and confusion. But in the middle of it all, one person did not move. Mama Blessing. She stood firmly in front of her small kiosk. Her blue apron was tied tightly, her black scarf glistening with sweat. Her arms were crossed over her chest. Her feet dug into the dusty ground like roots of an old tree. The engineer leading the demolition saw her and walked forward. Madam, he said, trying to keep his voice calm, please cooperate. Others are removing their stalls peacefully. Don't make this hard. Mama Blessing's eyes were sharp, her lips pressed tightly. She shook her head slowly. You will not touch this place, she said, her voice steady but low. The engineer frowned. Madam, let's not create a scene. This is just a stall like every other one. Her voice rose. trembling like a leaf in the wind. "This place is not just a store," she said. "You don't understand." The crowd nearby began to murmur. Traders who had been busy packing their goods stopped to watch. "Why is she talking like that?" one woman whispered. "Is it not just noodles she sells?" another said, puzzled. A man scoffed loudly. "She's just being stubborn." "It's just noodles she's selling, not gold," another snapped. But Mama Blessing remained rooted, because if only the town people knew what she had buried in her shop that made them always crave her food, no one would ever go near her again. Her hands trembled slightly. Her lips quivered as memories began to creep in, memories from a life she had tried hard to forget. Before everyone knew her as Mama Blessing, her real name was just Blessing Wadoki. She was once a teacher at Queen of Mercy Secondary School, known for her passion, creativity, and strict discipline. She loved molding young minds. For years, she poured her soul into her work. She would use her own salary to buy textbooks for students whose parents couldn't afford them. She organized after-school tutorials even on weekends. Many parents praised her. Some even suggested she would one day become the school's principal. But fate had other plans. A student, the daughter of a powerful local government chairman, accused her of slapping her during a test. It was on a quiet afternoon during an exam that everything changed. Blessing walked through the rows of desks, her sharp eyes watching for cheaters. As she passed the desk of Neka, the proud and arrogant daughter of a powerful local government chairman, she saw something glitter beneath the paper. A folded cheat note. Blessing picked it up immediately. Her voice was calm, but firm. "Neka, this is wrong. You know the rules. You must fail this test." Neka's eyes blazed with anger. "How dare you embarrass me like this in front of everyone?" she hissed. Blessing didn't shout. She didn't scold. She simply walked to the front and placed the cheat note on her table. But that single act lit a fire she couldn't put out. By evening, a terrible rumor began to spread. Neka told her friends that Blessing had slapped her hard across the face during the exam. The lie grew wings, flying from one mouth to another. Before the next morning, the entire school was buzzing. The news reached Neka's father, and he was not a man anyone wanted to cross. That same day, a convoy of police trucks roared into the school compound. Doors slammed, boots hit the ground. The chairman himself stepped out, his face red with fury. "Where is she?" he shouted. "Where is the teacher who dared to lay hands on my daughter?" Blessing came forward, her hands shaking, her heart pounding. "Sir, please, I never touched your daughter. I only took a cheat note." "Liar!" Neka screamed, clutching her cheek like it was wounded. "You hit me. You disgraced me." The crowd of students gasped. Some believed Blessing. Some didn't know what to think. The chairman turned to the principal, his voice like thunder. "If this woman is not punished today, I will shut down this school." The principal's face was pale. He looked at Blessing with sadness in his eyes. "Forgive me, Blessing," he said softly. "This is a necessary sacrifice for the school." Blessing's world shattered in that moment. She was suspended on the spot. The police escorted her out of the gates like a criminal while students whispered and pointed. By evening, everyone in town had heard the story. Her good name, once as clean as white cloth, was now stained and torn. No other school wanted to hire her. When she applied for teaching jobs, doors slammed in her face. Some principals didn't even let her finish speaking before saying, "We don't need trouble here." Her husband, already growing distant, took it as a reason to leave. He packed his things one morning and left a note that simply read, "I can't continue in shame." Blessing was left with 2 sons and a daughter. Rent became a burden. Feeding them became a miracle. She decided to start a small food business. She borrowed money from her cousin and bought a second-hand gas cooker, a makeshift table, and some kitchenware. She began cooking simple meals, rice, beans, yam. Every morning she carried her cooler to the roadside in front of the market, but no one bought. Your food is too dry, some said. I don't trust people who just start selling like that, others muttered. For weeks, she returned home with untouched food. Her children began to fall sick from malnutrition. One evening, frustrated and in tears, she packed her things and started walking home, her cooler still full. That was the night she met the old woman. The woman sat at a junction under a flickering street light with a young boy beside her. Both looked hungry and tired. Good evening, my daughter, the old woman said. Do you have anything to spare? Blessing looked at them and sighed. Take everything, she said. I can't carry it home. The woman blessed her and touched her forehead gently. You have a pure heart. Come back here in 3 days. I will give you a way out. Blessing didn't believe it. But on the third day, driven by desperation and curiosity, she returned. The woman was waiting. She led her through a footpath behind the market to a quiet stream, where the water ran smooth and black. This is the place, she said. Then she knelt and called out in a strange language. The wind changed. The waters began to ripple. From the stream rose a female figure, tall and glowing, with eyes like twin flames. What do you seek? The spirit asked. The old woman stepped aside. Blessing spoke. I want to feed my children. I want to survive. The spirit studied her silently. If you are ready to sell noodles, I will help you. Every morning at 4 a.m., come to this stream. You will find all you need to prepare the meal. It will draw people like a magnet. No one will resist your noodles. But there is a condition. The spirit handed her a small black box. Bury this under your store. Never let it see the sun. If it is ever uncovered and exposed to daylight, all your children will die. If you ever speak of our pact, your own tongue will betray you and your life will end immediately. Then the spirit added, inside the sack you will find every morning, there will be 2 things, one worm and a small pouch of black powder. Before you cook your noodles, you must grind the worm, mix it with the powder, and stir it secretly into every pot you prepare. No one must ever see you do it. That is the key to their craving. That is the offering they unknowingly make. Blessing's heart pounded, but she nodded. She had no other choice. I accept, she whispered. The spirit placed the black box in Blessing's hands. It was warm, almost alive. She gave her the sack too. Do not break the rule, the spirit said. Do not speak the secret. Do not let the sun touch the box. The wind calmed. The ripple softened. The glowing woman sank back into the dark water like a moon falling into the night. The old woman stood and touched Blessing's forehead with a light finger. Go, she said, before the crows. Dig the earth. Hide the box where you cook. Come back at 4. Do as you were told. Blessing held the box close to her chest. It thrummed against her like a second heart. She rose to her feet, small and shaking, but firm. The path back was narrow. The grass brushed her knees. Her steps were slow. Her mind was full. Her mouth stayed shut. Her promise sat on her tongue like a stone. Her hope, thin but alive, followed her home like a small candle in a very dark room. The next morning, before the first rooster crowed, Blessing was already awake. The night was still heavy, the sky dark like closed eyes. She held the small sack tightly against her chest as she hurried down the narrow path to the black stream. Just as the spirit had said, the sack was waiting. It was damp, cold, and strange. Inside was one fat worm, wriggling like it wanted to escape, and a tiny pouch of black powder that smelled sharp and bitter. Her hands trembled as she walked back home. The house was quiet, her children still asleep, their thin bodies curled up on the mat. Blessing's eyes lingered on them, her heart swelling with both pain and determination. She whispered to herself, "This is for you. This is for us." She lit the small stove and placed her blackened pot on the fire. Then she ground the worm on a stone, just as the spirit had instructed. Its body squished under her fingers, mixing with the powder until it became a dark paste. Blessing stirred it into the water quickly, glancing over her shoulder to make sure no one saw her. When the mixture dissolved, she added the noodles and her usual spices. As the food began to cook, a smell rose from the pot. It was unlike anything Blessing had ever known. It wasn't just food. It was temptation itself. The aroma was thick and rich, wrapping around her like warm hands. Even she felt her mouth water. She barely had time to taste it before she heard voices outside. People were already gathering, drawn by the strange, mouth-watering scent. "What is that delicious smell?" a man shouted from the road, his eyes wide. "Something is cooking here. I must taste it." Blessing's heart pounded. She rushed to open her kiosk. Before she could even arrange her plates, a line had formed. Men, women, children, traders, and taxi drivers all pushed forward, their voices overlapping. "Give me one plate." "No, me first. I have work to get to." "Mama, please. My child is hungry." Blessing had never seen anything like it. Her hands flew as she served bowl after bowl, steam rising in the morning air. The customers didn't just eat. They devoured. They closed their eyes and sighed deeply, licking their lips, their spoons scraping the bottom of the plates. "Ah, this food," one man groaned, holding his stomach. "It tastes like heaven itself." "Mama, what did you put inside?" another woman asked, wiping her mouth. "I can't stop eating." Blessing only smiled. Though her heart raced, she knew she could never tell them the truth. She simply said, "It is just ordinary noodles, cooked with love." That day, every single plate sold out before the sun fully rose. The next day, the crowd doubled. By the end of the week, there was no space to stand near her kiosk. People came running from different parts of the town just to taste her noodles. It was as if Benin City had fallen under a spell. Even those who once swore they hated noodles now begged for it. Taxi drivers changed their morning routes. School children pulled at their parents' hands, crying, "Mama, please, let's go to Mama Blessing's place before school." Office workers skipped breakfast at home just to get there on time. The road near the kiosk was always crowded, noisy, alive. And soon, Blessing was no longer just Blessing. People began to call her Mama Blessing, their voices filled with respect and hunger. "Mama Blessing, give me 2 plates. Mama Blessing, add extra pepper for me. Ah, Mama Blessing, your hands are blessed." Her children, once thin and weak, now ate well. Their cheeks grew round, their eyes bright again. Their laughter returned to the house like a long-lost friend. Blessing could finally buy them clean clothes and even send them to school with small pocket money. The shame that had once weighed on her shoulders began to lift. For the first time in years, she smiled with pride. But even in her joy, Blessing never forgot the spirit's warning. Every morning at 4 a.m., she went back to the stream. Every morning, she collected the sack. And every morning, she ground the worm and stirred it into the pot before anyone could see. No one knew her secret. No one guessed the dark price behind their beloved noodles. And as the crowd outside her stall grew day by day, so did the buried secrets beneath her wooden floor. Silent, dangerous, waiting. Back at the market, the engineer tapped his watch. "Madam, we have wasted too much time," he said, his tone sharp now. "Others have removed their stalls peacefully. Stop delaying us." Mama Blessing's hands shook as she clasped them together. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. She took a step forward, her voice breaking as she pleaded. "You don't understand," she cried. Please, please let me go inside and remove something first. Just one thing. Then you can do whatever you want." The engineer frowned, confused. "Remove what? It's just a small kiosk." Nothing inside is more important than following the law. The crowd around them was growing larger. Traders who had already cleared their stalls gathered to watch. Some shaded their eyes with their hands, whispering to one another. "Why is she acting like this?" one woman muttered. "It's just noodles she sells, not gold." "Exactly," a man added, shaking his head. "She is wasting everyone's time. They should just break it and move on." The noise grew louder, mixed with impatience and irritation. Some people began to push forward, wanting to see what was happening. Others crossed their arms, tapping their feet. Mama Blessing's chest rose and fell quickly. Her eyes darted to the ground where, hidden beneath the wooden floor of her kiosk, the black box lay buried. Her children's faces flashed in her mind. She remembered the spirit's warning. "If the box ever sees the sun, all your children will die." Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She knew she could not tell them the truth. She couldn't explain why she needed to get inside. Even if she spoke, her tongue would betray her, just as the spirit had warned. The engineer sighed, his patience gone. "Madam, stop this nonsense. Step aside before you cause trouble." But Mama Blessing dropped to her knees. Her hands stretched toward him. Her voice cracked like dry wood snapping in fire. "Please," she begged. "I am begging you in the name of God. Let me remove it myself. Just let me do this one thing." The crowd gasped. Some shook their heads, pity on their faces. Others grew angry. "Enough of this drama," a trader shouted. "We all lost our stalls too. Did we kneel and cry like this?" "She is just trying to delay them," another added. "Maybe she hid money under that place." The noise swelled like a rising storm. The engineer turned to his men, frustration in his eyes. "Get ready," he barked. "If she won't move, we'll call the police." Mama Blessing's body trembled as she stayed on her knees. Her tears fell freely now, soaking the dusty ground. "Please, please don't touch it," she whispered, her voice almost gone. "If you break this place without letting me take it out, something terrible will happen." But no one understood. To them, it was just a woman clinging to a small food store. Only Mama Blessing knew the truth of what was buried beneath, and the deadly price that would come if it was uncovered. Two officers walked toward her. They tried to reason with her, but she stood rigid. "Please, just let me remove something inside," she begged. "Sorry, ma. Step aside. It's already scheduled." One officer gently took her hand and led her to the shade of a nearby tree. The bulldozer started. With a loud crash, the kiosk's wooden frame gave way. The small pots and stools tumbled out. Then the ground beneath cracked. And from beneath the rubble, a small black box rolled into view. It was shiny and warm, almost humming. The sunlight hit it. And then came the scream. It wasn't one scream. It was three. Three different voices. Broken, filled with terror. The scream rose, echoing through every corner of the market. People clutched their ears. Some fell to their knees. Children burst into tears, covering their faces in fear. "What is that?" someone shouted. "Where is it coming from?" another yelled. Before anyone could answer, chaos began. From three different spots in the market, Mama Blessing's children, two sons, and her only daughter suddenly dropped to the ground. The first was her eldest son. He had been standing near the gate, laughing with a friend. Now he lay still, his eyes open but empty. The second was her younger boy. He was playing with a stick near the yam seller. One moment he was smiling, the next he was flat on the earth, his small chest no longer rising. The last was her daughter. She had been helping an old woman carry goods. Her basket spilled as she fell, beans scattering across the dirt like tears. "Ah! Somebody help!" A woman screamed. They just fell down." Panic exploded. People ran in every direction, knocking over stalls, trampling baskets. Some shouted prayers, others called on their gods, while a few just screamed and ran without knowing where to go. A young man dropped to his knees beside the eldest boy, shaking him. Wake up, he cried. Please don't die. Another woman bent over the girl, her hands trembling. Help! Someone call an ambulance, she shouted, her voice breaking. Please, this child is not breathing. But no matter what they did, it was too late. The three bodies lay still, silent, gone. Mama Blessing saw them from where she stood and let out a sound that was not human. It was a wail so deep it seemed to tear through the sky. My children, she screamed, running forward. No, 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 oh! She stumbled over baskets and broken wood, her feet bleeding as she fell beside them one by one. She touched their faces, shaking them as if her touch could bring them back. Get up! Please get up! She sobbed, her tears soaking their clothes. Don't leave me. Not like this. Not today. The crowd gathered at a distance, frozen in fear. Whispers passed through trembling lips. Are they dead? What kind of thing is this? God have mercy. Mama Blessing bent over her children, rocking back and forth, her cries rising higher and higher until it felt like the whole world was crying with her. The small black box still lay on the ground where the sun struck it, its glow fading slowly. And in that moment, everyone knew. Whatever curse lived in that box had claimed its prize. The market was no longer noisy with buying and selling. It was filled with fear. Men and women stood in a wide circle around Mama Blessing, their faces pale, their eyes wide with terror. The black box still sat on the ground, quiet now, but glowing faintly under the sun. People whispered among themselves, their voices shaky. Mama Blessing, what is happening? One man cried, stepping forward. Tell us what is inside that box. Another yelled, his hands trembling. How did your children just fall like that? Speak, Mama Blessing. A woman shouted, her voice sharp with fear. Mama Blessing was kneeling on the ground, her whole body shaking like a dry leaf in the wind. Tears poured down her face, her sobs loud and broken. For a moment she only cried, clutching her lifeless daughter to her chest. Then slowly she raised her head. Her lips parted, her voice weak. I will tell you everything, she whispered. Everything. The crowd fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Mama Blessing began to speak, her words spilling like water from a broken calabash. The job she lost, the old woman, the spirits at the stream, the worm, the powder, the secret mixture, the box. People listened in horror. Then a deep, trembling voice rose from the crowd. What was the spirit's name? The man asked, his face pale. Tell us, Mama Blessing. Who gave you this curse? The crowd grew quiet again, waiting for her answer. Mama Blessing opened her mouth. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Her eyes widened suddenly, like she had seen death itself. Her hands flew to her throat, clutching it as she gasped for air. Mama Blessing, someone screamed. What is happening to her? Her body began to shake violently. Her knees buckled. Foam gathered at the corners of her mouth. With one last broken cry, she fell forward onto the dusty ground. She convulsed once, then lay completely still. The crowd froze in horror. No one moved. No one breathed. Mama Blessing was dead. The truth had come out, but the full secret would never be spoken. The name of the spirit died with her. The crowd fled. Some cried. Others stood frozen in shock. The authorities sealed the site. Religious leaders came and warned the town. And ever since that day, whenever someone's food business becomes too successful too quickly, people look twice, and someone always whispers, check under the floor. Make sure there's no black box. Because sometimes it's not just food being sold. Sometimes your destiny is part of the prize. What did you learn from this tale? Some say Mama Blessing was desperate, driven by love for her children. Others say she should have trusted God, not spirits. But perhaps the lesson is this: shortcuts that require darkness always demand light as payment, and secrets buried in shame will one day be uncovered by the sun. If you enjoyed this story, let us know in the comments what you think Mama Blessing should have done differently. Share this tale with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more African tales that teach, terrify, and transform. Until next time, remember, not every blessing comes from above, and not every success is what it's cost.